Good afternoon, everyone. It's 5 o'clock, so we're going to start our Town of Farmington Historic District Commission meeting. I'm Shannon Rutherford, the town planner. We will start with a roll call. So I've got Jim Calciano,
Here.
Joanne Lawson,
Here.
Cliff Mix,
Here.
online,
Here.
Bill Fallon,
Here.
and Jay Bombara.
Here.
We have alternates Liz Dempsey,
Here.
Henry Purtell,
Here.
and Ted Sanford.
Here.
Everyone's here.
Great.
Set, Mr. Chair.
Then I'll call to order the meeting of the Town of Farmington Historic District Commission on Tuesday, January 21st. Before we start, Henry Purtell fortunately is not here with us in person, but he's apparently on the line, which is great. Glad you could join us, Henry. For those that don't know, he's been appointed and is now an alternate member of the commission. So welcome. And Henry, feel free to ask any questions about procedure or whatever if it's not clear. It's all good for all of us to refresh anyway. With that, I'll ask the Secretary, Michelle, to read in the notice of the public hearings.
Notice is hereby given that the Farmington Historic District Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing on Tuesday, January 21, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the following applications. Miss Porter's school application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install signposts for variable banner signs at 63 59 and 87 Main Street. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public hearing. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council Chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website at the link provided. A copy of this proposal is available online at the link provided, or by calling the Planning Department at 860-675-2325, dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this third day of January, 2025.
Thank you, Michelle. If a representative of the applicant could come to the podium and state your name and provide an address and make a presentation on your application.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Jackie Murray on behalf of Miss Porter's school. The address is 63 Main Street as well as 87 Main Street. 63 Main Street is our Humphrey dorm. 87 Main Street, we refer to it as Timco. It's a residential property where our chief academic officer lives. We are hoping to display banners, vinyl banners. You can see it on the screen. A 36-inch high by 72-inch wide vinyl banner to provide information about Miss Porter's new summer camp offering. This is a summer camp for elementary school aged girls, and this is the first year that we are running it. So this is our way of just spreading the word. Registration just opened, but due to the amount of people that drive by our campus every single day, we would love to have some sort of visual sign for people to learn about it. We are hoping to make these temporary. They will not be up year round. In the winter months, that's when parents are oftentimes doing their summer planning. So we would like to get them up as soon as possible and then take them down when registration is complete. We are hoping to install 4x4 wooden posts for the banners to hang on. The post would be approximately 6 feet high. The 63 Main Street location, we hope to have it facing School Street. So many parents wait there every single day to pick up their children. We thought that would be a good place to display it. And for Timco at 87 Main Street, we would have it positioned facing Church Street. Same thing. Parents are there every single day picking up their children. I want to emphasize that these are definitely temporary. We also hope that this program would benefit Farmington and the village because it's open to everyone. So we hope that Farmington children will come to this camp and enjoy it with us.
Great. Shannon, before we begin, I don't know what the definition of a temporary sign is, because I think we're just being asked, am I wrong, to look at the posts or rather than the sign itself, or are we being asked to also approve the sign itself?
So Farmington does have a temporary sign regulation that's a TPZ umbrella. So we would treat this similar to how we have the First Church when they run their temporary, so the banner comes up and they, there's the Pride awareness, there's Advent, there's a variety of things. It goes up for a couple of weeks and then it comes down. And then, so they, each time, Mr. Steckinger is actually very good. We get a temporary sign renewal every single time that banner goes up, but it's fine. It's all via email. And they're up typically for 2 weeks. It can be extended. Sometimes they're up for, we'll get a renewal, and we'll let them up for, 4 to 6 weeks type of thing for a registration purpose. So, so really it's the look of the signs, very similar to what was discussed for the First Church of Christ.
Right, the holder of the sign, but I guess what I just want to be clear on is, how long do you plan on having the sign up?
We would love to have it up as long as possible. I'd love to keep it up through March. That's when typically parents are finishing their summer plans. However, if we need to keep it up for, less time, we're willing to do that. But I would love to keep it up through March.
So they would apply for a temporary certificate, a temporary sign,
Correct.
and they would have to meet whatever criteria that is. Okay. So we do not need to approve or disapprove of the
You don't need.
sign itself.
Don't need to, worry about the length of time. But other than understanding that it's temporary,
Right.
that those posts are
Okay.
coming down, we'll leave that on the TPZ end. So for this commission, it's understanding it is temporary, how you want those, if you want the posts removed and, similar to the First Church of Christ, what the posts look like.
Right. Okay.
To that extent, yes.
Okay. With that, I'll start with the commissioners. Ted, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Yeah, what's the post going to be made out of?
Wood. Yep. A
Uh,
white 4x4 posts.
Okay, so painted
correct.
white, and it's a cedar cap you're putting on it, and that's going to be painted white.
Correct.
And just to clarify, they will be removable, so the posts themselves will disappear once your sign goes down.
Yes, we will make sure that when a sign isn't being displayed, we will remove them.
Okay, that's the only question I had.
Liz?
I was actually going to ask that question as well. And just so that based on the discussion that just occurred, it sounds like you're going to have to go also through TPZ for the sign itself. So I want to make sure you're aware of that. But that was it.
Michelle?
And so it'll be 6 feet high.
The posts are 6 feet high, yes. I looked at the application for the church next door and it seemed that theirs were 6 feet high as well. So I wanted to make sure that they were the same.
Okay, that was the frame of reference I was trying to imagine. Thank you.
Jim?
The sign itself, how big is it?
The banner, 36 inches by 72 wide.
Okay, and there's 2 of them, one each side of School Street, is that it?
So one will be School Street, one Church Street. But
Okay.
they're double-sided.
They are double.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Joanne?
Other than the things that you've already answered, I just wanted to confirm that when people pick up their kids at Noah Wallace and then they wait and wait and wait in line on Church Street.
Yeah.
So your sign has to be back away from the street so they can see to get out, right?
Yeah, we find that parents kind of congregate on the corner and by the crosswalk. So we would have it facing School Street, but far enough back onto the Humphrey lawn that it's visible.
Yeah, the other street, parents tend to drive in, I
Oh,
believe.
they do, yes, but our hope is that they would pass it and see it. There's a lot of traffic there in the morning. The resident who lives there actually said I would put it as close to our driveway as possible because it's hard to get out in the morning with the amount of traffic. So we're hoping that people would just see it as they drive by.
Okay. Cliff, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Nope, she's answered them all. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry, do you have any questions or comments on this application for the applicant?
No questions or comments from me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either. Is there anybody here present that has any questions or comments for the applicant or the commission? Shannon, do you want to poll or is there anybody else online?
Yes, there's actually a hand raised. So we have Sam or Mariah Reisner. This is for the Miss Porter's application. You can unmute, you should be able to unmute your microphone.
Hi, I
If
just
you
wanted
could,
to. Hi, can you hear
we'll
me?
need your, yep,
Yes.
we'll need your full name and address for the
Hi, this
record,
is-
and then you,
Sure, Mariah Reisner at 41 Main Street. And I just wanted to clarify that, so I am one of the parents that is on the corner that you're talking about being a place where parents wait. And all of the parents except for us are all Porter's families. They're all Main Street walkers. So just as a clarification point, the people who are there that you're targeting to are already aware of the program because they're all part of Miss Porter's school community. So in terms of the other location, you know, yes, people could potentially see it when they drive, you know, to and from Noah Wallace, because it seems like you're kind of targeting Noah Wallace. But I just wanted to make that clarification since it didn't seem clear from what was stated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just
anyone
have a
else who's
follow-up.
called in, please raise your hand to address the commission regarding the Miss Porter's application. Mr. Chair, there's no other hand.
Okay. Liz, did you have something else?
Well, just, I think what Commissioner Lawson was trying to get at was, will the sign cause people to not be able to A, see their children, or B, like accident wise? I guess that was the kind of concern, that the placement would be a potential hazard, I guess, or.
I don't think so, and that's definitely something that we would be cognizant of when installing it.
Okay.
I would go back and look and make sure that it's in a safe position.
So we will also be looking at that. So this, our GIS system, there we go. Our property lines are back on. So this is the school street. So you're, this is a full aerial map, which might be helpful for everyone. So we've got Main Street, and then this is School Street, and this is one way, if I'm recalling correctly. So this is one way up. Bless you. So a sign posted in this area, there shouldn't be anyone exiting.
Right.
This is a one-way loop on school. So there shouldn't be a sight distance issue at this location, and the sign would have to be posted on their property. It cannot be posted in the right of way. So I think we should be okay here, and we'll work with them on that location. In Church Street, if I recall, you said up by the drive, so somewhere in this vicinity, would that be?
Yes,
correct?
we recognize that we would probably have to trim back some of the trees in order for this to work, but yeah, it wouldn't be on the corner. It would be closer to the driveway.
Okay. Because the sight distance at this corner, I would agree, is being a former Noah Wallace parent and having done this on a regular basis, I'm quite familiar. So, yes, that would be fine in that location, and it certainly wouldn't be a sight distance issue.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, one last call. Anybody else have any comments or questions on the application of Miss Porter's School for 63 and 87 Main Street for the sign? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the application? Joanne?
I'll make
Do
a
you have a
motion
motion?
that we approve Ms. Porter's application for a temporary certificate of appropriateness to install a temporary signposts for variable banner signs at 63 parentheses 59 and parentheses and 87 Main Street.
Do I have a second?
Do I say as presented or subject?
Yeah.
Yeah, in accordance with the application or something. That's fine. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
I have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
And just
Motion
to
approved.
clarify, Shannon, do I have to make a presentation at TPZ as well?
No, so the temporary sign application is run through our office.
Okay.
On a regular basis. So
Okay.
that's how that's handled.
Okay, thank you all
Okay.
for your time.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Okay, that is actually it for public hearings for today. However, we have a couple of items under new business, and the first one is Jack Kemper for an informal discussion for building a new home at 8088 Church Street, the lot adjacent to 5 Church Street. Jack and or the applicant or the owner would like to come up and present what they're talking about. If you could identify yourself and provide an address too.
Architects and Kathy's.
At Willowbrook Road in Farmington. Seems to be I hope. Okay, and we're okay, we can get them on the mic there?
I think so. So you are going to want to speak into the mic. Jack, I think.
And this is, I'll remind everybody, this isn't informal. We're not looking to approve anything today. The Jack and Mr. Diesel have asked for an opportunity just to get a sense from us of and letting us know what they're doing and a sense of what we think about it. But whatever we discuss here is just discussion, and any positions taken or not taken are not necessarily going to be reflective of the final if you do come for a formal application. Jack?
Yeah, if you want to put, start with the empty site plan. Tad and Joanne bought this property at the corner of Church and Hart Streets. And we just had Hodge do a really pretty nice detailed survey for us. Updated. The old survey was very old. It was split off from the house 50, or was it 50 or 5? Getting 10 to everything on Church Street.
That's okay. It's five church.
Yeah, I think it was once part of that property.
So this is the whole process. So we're gonna go back to the GIS real quick. So
Yeah,
this was the whole it was all one lot. I'm assuming perhaps even way back, it was more than than just
Okay.
this. Most likely, having some familiarity with how things are working around there, but in 95, 8088 was split off from 5 as part of a subdivision, and it received the Historic District Commission review and approval, as well as TPZ approval back in 1995, I believe.
Yes, and that approval came with some conditions that some easements and direction about which way the house should face, where the driveway should be. And I think we've tried to respect it. I will have a question about one of the easements. So I don't know if you have that. I didn't think to bring that stuff.
So I do have the the historic information I do have, yeah. Is that what,
So I think we should probably take a look at that, just so we see what.
sure. So there were 7 recommendations. So up on the screen, this was all part of the information, so was required back at the time, a limited conservation area established for the following depths: a 70-foot setback from Hart Street, a 40-foot from Church, and a setback 31 feet from the rear property line. House shall be oriented towards Church with the dominant eave facing and parallel to Church. Driveways access shall be toward the rear of the property off of Hart. A professional arborist or landscape architect shall prepare a plan for the preservation of important trees within the limited conservation areas. Massing of the structure should be more horizontal than vertical. The structure must relate harmoniously with existing historic structures in the neighborhood. For example, First Church, the library, and the art guild. The distance between the residents at 5 Church and the new structure shall be a minimum of 50 feet. So those were the direct comments from the Farmington Historic District advisory to TPZ, and TPZ brought those all in as conditions as part of their subdivision approval.
Yes, so thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
So what we've done is we've oriented the house toward Church Street, put the garage on Hart Street. We've mostly, I see I missed the setback from the rear yard line by a little bit, 27, 30. They are asking for 30, so we can manipulate that. I'm not worried about that. One of the things, it asked for a 70-foot setback from Hart Street, but they're also saying that the garage and driveway are on Hart Street. So we're obviously going to take down trees to get the driveway to the garage. So what I'm hoping to do is keep that main house at the 70 feet, but possibly have the garage stick out a little further. I think I ended up with the garage at 60 feet.
Yeah, and we'll be measuring not from the roadway edge, we'll be measuring from the property.
I took it, I'm measuring from the property line.
Okay. the
And then
sketch-
it's really 55, excuse me, from the property line.
Yeah, the sketch that's up here, it looks like it's. So. The property, this would be.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, look at the old one,
We
sorry.
measure from the for that property.
From the street line.
From the property line, correct, not from the curb line.
That's what the easement should be from the
Well,
property
that's,
line?
so all of our, and I could go back further into the record, but when, anytime from a zoning standpoint, we're discussing setbacks, it's from the property line, not from the curb line. Always. So that's how that's from a legal standpoint, so I would have to start to go in further if we need to look at it differently.
I mean, I guess my big question is since we have to cut the driveway through the 70-foot setback anyway, is there, to me, it seems like not a big deal to have the garage in that space, just giving us a little more room to do that. So that's kind of my big question.
I guess if I can, I would, I mean, to me, it's almost a legal question, which is they've got this subdivision approval, which appears to have incorporated these 7 points requested by the Historic District Commission. And one of those is, as Jack has just pointed out, is that you've got this 70 feet. So who would waive that condition? Would it be this commission? Can the commission do that? I mean,
So
how?
my best recommendation would be is if the commission, the legal condition of approval is with TPZ, I believe. Farmington Historic District in this particular matter was advisory to TPZ. I'd have to take a look to see if it was really a separate approval. Do you happen to know offhand? Yeah. So we'd have to take a look, but the most straightforward would be to address it in that fashion for the
So-
historic district to be advisory to TPZ. If in essence, the historic district's good with this current commission is agreeable to modifying the setback, then it would be advisory to TPZ to say, yes, you're
Right.
in support of it based on this particular plan and layout and massing, et cetera. And then it would go to TPZ for a formal review and approval and modification.
Yeah.
And then, it would reside with historic district with respect to the aesthetics and
Sure.
looks and the massing and materials, et cetera.
Right, and I agree. I will say there's a letter that was in the materials dated July 12, 1995, from Chris Hoheb, Secretary of TPZ, to Mr. Downs, stating that the 7 recommendations contained in the Historic District Commission memorandum dated May 25th, 1995 are made a part of this approval. So
Right.
I agree with you. I think that we could make the Historic District could decide to make a recommendation that it did not believe that, or we couldn't make certain modifications, but that's a recommendation to TPC. They would be the ones then to make a formal decision as to whether or not that was acceptable.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
but I see no reason why TPZ would not defer to this commission with respect to those specific elements.
Is there precedent on this anywhere? Has the Historic District Commission ever done anything like that?
Again, I'm
since
not
I've
even
been-
sure where I would start to research,
Yeah.
and try to figure that out. So I don't know. And I don't think our database is specific enough
Well,
to,
a subdivided lot has been done.
right, so I know.
Right.
we
Yeah,
just did
it's
it
a
with-
lot, and
we've-
but it's
so
got conditions.
It's an existing, right, it's an existing historic district lot that was subdivided, so the historic district parameters now carry over to the vacant lot. We've done it in Unionville Historic District, we've created no, we haven't created the subdivision, he's talked about it, but he hasn't actually subdivided the property.
Because I was also going to ask, are there guidelines for this kind of thing? Like,
My property was subdivided.
But it doesn't sound like it. Sounds like it's the wild, wild west. Is that?
Well.
I don't think so. I mean,
So with respect to the new building, I think we would treat it very similar to how this was done when some of the other homes there were 2 homes along Main Street that have burned down. So the Bercherette's home that had to be.
Yeah, that's my house.
the one in the
Well,
back.
mine's the one in the back. Mine
So-
was the subdivided house.
So those had to go through a full design review,
Mhm.
Sure.
kind of ground up. So I would treat it the same way from that standpoint, from a ground up construction.
Right.
This nuance with respect to the setbacks, it was something that was over and above. And without now trying to listen, I'd have to see if I can even get the audio from 95 without listening to it. I mean, this is the extent of what we have is, so to understand the reasoning why, you'd have to start to listen to the dialogue of the meeting. And I'm not sure that, 30 years later, how germane it is.
Right.
So if there's something critical and concerning, we can certainly go through that exercise, but to understand that why, we'd have to start to listen to the audio to really get.
So just to clarify, so there was no specific, is this house is this property in the district? Yes.
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 Was it when they subdivided? Yes.
Yes.
So
So the vacant lot, because the property.
they didn't bother at that time, though, the historic commission making a decision or taking an application. They simply were making recommendations on the subdivision, and presumably back in 1995, when they were ready to build, they would have come to the historic district for a historic district approval. So that's never happened. So we're not
Correct.
changing any decision we made. It's whether or not, and that's the question Jack is asking, is, but because the historic district did make a recommendation, which TPZ incorporated in their approval, they're now asking, or we think it's probably best course if we make a recommendation one way or the other. We could say, we don't think we should, or we think we should, and they can decide whatever they want, because they have the authority to modify the 70 feet. But we can certainly make a recommendation. So I think, I mean, I don't find that terribly troubling. It's just whether or not you think that we're forever, or TPZ thinks it's forever bound by an original, or we think we're originally bound by a decision made 30 years ago to make a certain recommendation.
Well, I guess my thought process is that they took the effort to make those recommendations. So what's the reason why? To get back to our discussion.
Well, she says, there's a letter in here from Terry Fader, which talks a little bit about, there was a lot of public interest at the time talking about how it was a natural parcel and trees. So I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a
Yeah,
letter.
I
that
mean, I
talks
saw
about it.
that, but I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know what else they could be thinking other than that.
I don't know. So we
Not going to be more
went to this
specific. I
because we
doubt.
had it. I don't know if there's any other paper documents on we went to this, and this is what had been shared with Jack. So this is what was shared with all of you.
Okay.
We could dig deeper to see, because this says, it looks like it was a series of at 3 recent meetings, this was discussed. A number of members also visited the site. Et cetera, as noted in this memorandum from the historic district to TPZ. So we could dig a little deeper into the files to see if we've got it in under 5 Church Street, which is how it would have been filed, to see if there's anything else
But-
on the historic district side to shed more light onto the reasoning why. But, which is certainly, we can certainly do that.
But that, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe you can help me a little bit, and it might have been after Isaias, I mean, trees came down, so the definition of what conservation is in 1995 and the definition of what conservation could be or should be in 2024 may very well be 2 different things, because my recollection, and I could be wrong, but I thought that back area was cleared a little bit, and again, my recollection was, as as a result, and it might not have been Isaias, maybe it was another storm, but trees came down.
There was one tree that came down.
Well, there was one that was close to,
There were church.
no, but to Church Street, but, walking down Hart Street, uh, again, my recollection was there was a kind of clearing of sorts, and I just thought it was, stormy. I thought that property took what I'll call, a beating with that storm. And I could be wrong. So some of what I feel like some of the concerns are, wrap around what conservation is or was perceived to be at that time, and potentially what it is right now. And then, of course, the length of the driveway therein. That's just kind of what I'm thinking.
All right, one more thing, Shannon.
I don't know how clear this is up on the screen.
Yeah, we can see it here too, so we're
So-
pretty good. Can you see that?
So this
I
is,
got it.
so we've got an aerial, this is a 2009 aerial. It's not, you get shadows, it's not perfect, but so we've got a couple, you can clearly see some grouping of evergreen trees and then deciduous trees. Here's the same image. The 2012 image is rather dark.
Mm.
2016, it looks like the
Pretty clear.
current property owner, right? So
That's
there had been no-
Isaias.
he's done, he or she, they have done some of their own work, landscaping, chosen to do some landscaping work in this area, which they were entitled to as their own personal property,
Yeah.
because they hadn't built a home, so it, we couldn't, there would be no reason why we would prevent someone from doing this with their own property. And then this is the current state. You can still see that path, which I think also showed in
Kevin's survey.
the survey. So there's this stone wall or walkway type that's showing there. So that's what you're seeing here in the 2016. So there's certainly, I guess, to my point that, some of these things may not be as germane 30 years later.
Yeah.
Certainly as you look at Hart Street as a whole, all of these homes are certainly closer than 70 feet to Hart Street.
Mhm.
This, I think our closest one, if I can grab, some measuring, or the furthest one, I should say. So if I measure from to the property line, I'm at 40 feet for 13 Church. I'm just using rough numbers. And to the curb or street edge, it's 50 feet. Again, using rough numbers from a GIS. So, and that's the one that's furthest set back. All the other ones seem to be notably closer to the street line. So
Shannon, did you get the pictures that
I did, yeah, let me see if.
Tad took some pictures of the lot that I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah, those were available online. I mean, on the website.
Yeah, photos, here's the combined. I believe this is looking from Hart Street into the property. Right, this is the
Yeah,
end of
down
the home
Church
on
Street.
5, this is 5 that we're looking at, correct,
Yep.
Jack?
Yep.
Yeah,
And then this is turned 90 degrees, so you're looking south, I believe, here to the property. This is from the corner. So you've got a utility pole here, so
Yeah,
quite honestly, Eversource is probably gonna take that down at some point anyhow.
that's
So
gonna go
that's
sooner or
only
later.
probably a matter of time
Right.
before that situation is changed. And perhaps even with some of these, the pines, either that or, a storm, depending on the severity of the storm and the health of the tree. This is interior to the lot, again, looking to the west.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure where, this is Noah Wallace. So you're inside the lot, but looking north towards Noah Wallace School.
And that's what's left of that stone walk, I think.
Oh, here,
Kevin.
Yeah.
put,
okay,
Granite something.
okay.
Okay, Liz, did you have something?
Yeah, can we go back to the letter or the guidelines from
Yeah.
the approval?
Of course, absolutely.
Was the only reason or were the reasons for the changes because of trees? Or was it larger than that?
You're asking why the potential applicant wants to change?
No, I'm
No.
asking why
The
they,
underlying-
historic district recommended what they did when they did.
Oh.
Was it because of a tree?
Well,
See,
Okay.
I'm thinking that comes under the umbrella of the term conservation, which is what I'm trying to.
No,
say.
I
Yeah.
totally get what you're
Yeah.
saying, and I get that we have to look at the house from now. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm putting my zoning hat on, and I'm trying to figure out why these,
Well, my guess is, yeah, so because so not only were there limited conservation areas should be established at the following depths, right? So those are noted. And then they further go on, number 4, professional arborist or landscape
Right.
architect shall prepare a plan for the preservation of important trees
yeah,
within the conservation areas. So,
but that doesn't have to do with the setbacks per se.
well, I think they tie together, right? Because it says important trees within the limited conservation areas, and these, number 1 says limited
Limited con-
conservation areas should be established. And those are the setbacks, so they're established for, so I think they tie together.
Huh.
The fact that trees have been removed since then in the last
Right.
30 years.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that
that's
makes total sense.
certainly the owner's right and prerogative.
I also,
We've got different, excuse me, Chair, sorry, we've got other, diseases, the
Yeah.
age of the trees 30 years later, the health, the different things that have come in. So,
So it sounds like it is just related to trees.
there could be, right. So some of them could be very healthy and fine
Right.
for another 50 years. Some of them could come down in the next storm or dropping branches repeatedly. So we could go through all this, preserve a tree, only for the homeowner to come in and say, well,
Yeah.
it's dropping branches repeatedly and I've got a nice crack in a windshield or whatever the case may be, and it comes down. So I think some reasonable requests to keep some of the landscaping and to move forward so that there's some buffer, or an appropriate new landscaping plan is probably warranted, but we can certainly dig further to see if we can get to a better root cause of the why in our files as well. Admittedly, we did not. We had this and went with it.
the only thing I was going to suggest as a possibility is I note that as part of the subdivision, they appear to have shown a house situated, and I'm thinking that's probably 70 feet, and that's probably why they used, in other words, the applicant at the time that came to get it subdivided was okay with it being 70 feet. And they were like, oh, well, they said 70 feet, so let's make that a condition. Because there is a pretty detailed drawing, at least I'm assuming that's what this, the question I would have though, which kind of relates though, is, so what happened? I mean, not that it matters, but why wasn't this built on for 30 years? Anybody know? No.
Yeah, they liked the lot. They didn't want to subdivide it. They knew they had a lot.
Oh, but they retained ownership. So
Right.
they own both Five
Right.
Church and the new subdivided lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We have that happen quite often, that
Yeah.
they'll subdivide it and hang on to it until they are then
Then
ready
you,
to
then you
sell.
got to pay extra taxes on it. I do just the opposite.
We have it subdivided and then they realize there's the extra taxes, so.
Yeah.
Subdivision,
They
we
said,
go,
forget about it.
Mr. Chair, you would be amazed.
Probably
So
not.
You can see too, this drawing initially showed the driveway coming off of Church Street. So one of the conditions was to rework this so that the driveway comes off of Hart and not off of Church. So that was one of the conditions of approval. Was to come off of Hart Street rather than Church, which I think, understanding the traffic pattern of Church, it's probably a prudent thought.
Jack, did you have other points you wanted to make? I mean, that we talked about a lot. I know.
We also have a house design.
Oh, you do?
Big, huh?
Okay, that we haven't seen.
How many
Tree
square feet?
placement. Historic tree placement. Yeah, I think we'll think about that, the
Yeah.
conservation stuff. One of the things we're trying to do is, I think we've tried to really live up to all their the recommendations. It's what we're designing is a very traditional cape. It's about a little over 2,000 square feet, not a big house.
Thank you.
This designed
Oh.
for first floor living.
Double door.
That site plan on there is the old one, so I should have whited that out with the new one, once we got the, thing. But we're looking to put the garage behind it. One of the things we're looking to put the garage closer to the street is so we don't want the whole backyard and the southern exposure to be looking at the garage.
Mhm.
So that's, we're really trying to keep, and the sun exposure here is really good. So we'd like to make use of that. We'd like the house, we want the garage to be less important than the house, and it's around the corner. It's my little 3D, when it's way back there. And we're looking to really just make it a very nice, charming cape. Front porch. We're doing bay windows under the porch, so we're doing bay windows, but they won't have like the separate roofs. They'll just be under the porch. The interior, very open. And again, designed for first floor living.
What about siding and style of windows?
I was talking to Brad about that today. We're liking the idea, and when we come in for the final approval, we'll have all that.
Oh, no, this is just discussion
But yeah,
purposes in
yeah.
case you're
I'm
going the
thinking
wrong
that
way.
It's clapboard siding. I would love to do, we're thinking like maybe the LP Smart side, which is actually wood, and just takes paint better. So it's actually wood. I don't know what other materials you guys have allowed there. So in there,
Hardy board.
Party board.
I think LP would be several steps above that. So
Yep.
We would consider it.
That's
That's
the
Yeah.
low end.
yeah. And then asphalt shingle windows. I was thinking of maybe a metal roof on the dormer. I don't know that we really need that. We probably will when
How many bedrooms upstairs? The doors are small.
2 bedrooms,
Yeah,
2 bedrooms and a bath. Yeah, we're truly trying to keep it around 2,000 square
yeah, I
feet.
see that.
And,
So if you have open ceilings then
pardon?
you have an open ceiling
In the foyer.
in the foyer.
And it bleeds. What we're really trying to do is make the foyer inside is not super historic at all. But we're just trying to open it up, use some beams to do that. It's going to have a gas fireplace. We are not looking to do chimney, so it will have just a roof vent. We won't be doing a chimney. We look to do simulated divided light windows. So we'll have the real grids, double hung windows.
Anything else? I'll just
Like
run
to
through.
do, we'd like to play with maybe doing barn siding and doing something a little bit different on the garage. Set back, maybe a vertical, maybe it's a different color, but not a
Separate
complete-
mass. Okay, why don't I just quickly run through and see if anybody, again, this is just everybody, this is discussion purposes, any opinion you express or whatever. You're free to change your mind if we actually ever get an application. So this is just to make sure that, give these guys a little guidance that they're not going down the wrong path. But Ted, do you have anything that you'd want to add or not?
I mean, I think the house looks nice. I think it would fit in with the neighborhood. As for the setback off of Hart Street, I would be inclined, if it was the same as the art guild across the street, it would probably be fine.
So it's 50 feet, I think we said, yeah.
There was a letter in that package that kind of implied the historic district back in 95 was concerned because it was a wooded lot.
Right.
And they wanted to preserve the appearance of empty lots in town, and it's not an empty lot anymore. I don't know that it really applies all that much anymore.
Okay. Liz?
No,
Nothing? Michelle?
No, I agree with what Ted is saying, and really all the other driveways, Hart Street, as I'm running them through my mind, they're certainly not set back very far from the road. And their property sizing, of course, is different. And then as I think of Church Street, the driveways that sit opposite the school are configured a little bit differently, but I can't recall that any of them are set back terribly far. And I also think that where you look at setback from the road, the further you put a driveway, you just don't want to, you don't want a lot that looks like it's all driveway, with two areas in between. So that's everything I think.
Jim, do you want to add anything?
On the windows, Jack, there is that some, divided lights now, they're gonna be, we've approved the metal mullions that are affixed to the glass.
Yeah, these SDLs are insulated glass with the spacer bars and a mullion, a muntin on the outside and I'm
Isn't it either?
the
Muntins.
muntins on the outside and
Mullions, we
inside.
know.
Yeah, the mole is between the windows, the muntin.
Is that right?
Paint.
I
Yeah.
think so.
So yeah, the SDL windows are a nice product, and there's various brands of them.
That's it.
Joanne? Cliff, do you have anything you want to
No.
add or ask?
Nope, I look forward to seeing the final design. Looks good. Looks like it will fit well.
Henry, do you have anything you want to add?
Agree with Cliff on the design of the house. I think it's appears, at least initially, to be appropriate for the neighborhood. I just would note, with respect to the conditions, it seems pretty explicit that the Historic District Commission had, objected to the original proposal and only accepted it subject to these 7 conditions. I imagine that the property owner now would have had notice of that. And taking a look at the setbacks, specifically the 50-foot to the neighbor's house to the left there, that house appears to be about 40 or 42 feet away from the property line. The setback of the proposed house is 28 feet, so it does appear that there are an additional 13 feet. The house could be moved towards Main Street to comply with that 70-foot requirement. But I also agree with everything said earlier with respect to that being a decision for the zoning board to make. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Henry. That's good insight. So you can think about that, Jack. Again, it's up to the zoning board ultimately.
Well, I think we understand that the house could slide further. I'm just not sure it's the best solution to have a really long driveway. So we understand that we have room to make it work.
Okay. I don't have anything further. If you guys don't have any further questions for us, so we appreciate you coming in to share this on an informal
And I
basis.
Go over these
Yeah.
easements, so they were confusing to me, so.
Okay, great.
So that's good.
Yep.
So we will see, and Shannon, I'll talk to you about what.
Yeah, what I'll do, so Sandy and I, probably more, the Sandy part of Sandy and I, we'll go through the files and see if we can find something from more information from 1995 with respect to these conversations, and then whatever we find, we'll share with all parties
Yeah, thank you.
so that everybody has that. And then if need be, if whatever we find warrants further discussion, then we can certainly do that at the February meeting if needed. So, but, okay.
Great.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Yeah, thanks again. Good luck.
Everybody.
Okay, moving on. Next item of business is election of officers for 2025. I think I'm gonna, if I can, turn that over to Shannon, make it efficient and as appropriate as we can.
Sure, I will try. So we do have election of officers. We will start with the position of chair. We'll take nomination, I'll need nomination and second for chair, if anyone is interested.
I'll nominate Jay Bombera.
Second.
If there's somebody else that would like to do it, don't feel embarrassed. And I honestly, I'm honored as always, but I'm happy to do it. I'm just saying if somebody else thinks they want to start doing it.
If there's any other nominations for chair? Okay, so we will vote then. So Jay, so there is a motion and a second. There's no other nominations. Is there any discussion? Any discussion, any questions? Nothing. Okay, so then we will go to vote as Jay Bombara for Chair of the Farmington Historic District Commission for 2025. And we're voting with the regular members, please. So I know, I'll go all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions?
Just not to remind ourselves of old wounds, but we have followed, continued to follow the, I guess, advice of the town attorney that only regular members vote for the officers. So I guess that's what we're technically doing. Hopefully we don't have any close votes, so it's not going to matter, but just so everyone's aware.
I will entertain a motion for vice chairman
I nominate Jim Calciano for vice chairman.
and a second, please.
I'll second that.
Okay.
We're really shaking things up here.
Okay.
Guess what's going to happen next?
So moved.
I've had the other. I'll take steps.
Yeah, I'll
through.
take this too. It's
So that's all right. Okay, are there any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, hearing none, we currently have Jim Calciano as the nomination for vice chair with a motion and a second, or nomination and a second. Is there any discussion, further comment, questions? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Secretary, may I have a nomination for secretary?
I'll nominate Michelle Phelan for the position of secretary.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Great. Are there any other nominations for secretary? Okay, hearing none. We have a nomination and a second. Is there any other discussion, comment, or question regarding the position of secretary? No, all right, then, for Michelle Phelan as secretary, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Fabulous. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are all set.
Yep. Thanks again. Thanks, Jim and Michelle, for continuing. Moving on, other business. Does anybody have anything? No. I will report, although I hate to jinx myself, that tomorrow, hopefully, officially, there'll be a closing of the sale of 729 Farmington Avenue to the Farmington Historical Society. If you're not aware of it, that's the home that was the Schultz's home and currently owned by Livewell. And the Historical Society is planning on using it for their collections and programming, et cetera. So stay tuned for hopefully a lot of good stuff to come. I think it's nice, not only for the Historical Society, but it also obviously protects that corner as you come into the, not just Farmington, but the Farmington Valley. So we're all very excited. If anybody's interested in helping, I'm sure they'd love to have your help. So you can contact me or anybody on the board. Anything else for other business? Staff report?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
So unless somebody has questions for me, I don't think I've got anything historic district related.
Minutes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 19 meeting? If you recall, we did not meet in December.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the November 19th, 2024.
I'll
meeting.
second that.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or suggested edits, changes? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion's carried. With nothing else on the agenda, we will adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
So